My apologies. I have no idea what just happened. Instagram just cut the feed. So hopefully I can jump back into my interview with Mr. Cain. I hope everything is all right. Don't.
There we go.
I don't know what happened. I don't know what happened.
I don't either. It just said the live video ended, and I was like, all right.
Yeah, same here. That has never happened before. Never happened. I'm sorry. I apologize.
No, you're good. Not your fault. It happens. Yeah, I don't. Could have been on my end too. If it happens, I know you didn't do it, so it's all good.
Yeah.
So where were we at?
Your friend joined the Army, and he was telling you all the benefits.
Yes. So so I tell myself, I'm like, okay, maybe I should look into this. You know, this sounds pretty interesting because I was looking for a change. And so I go to a recruiter's office, and I'm a very spontaneous person. When I make a decision, like, that's it. I don't go back. I'm like, I'm doing it. So I went to recruiter's office. He was like, all right, well, let's slow down. You got to pass this physical. You got to pass the PT test. I was like, that won't be a problem. Passing a PT test. I was wrestling in college. I was in pretty good shape. Then they took me downtown to this center where they have you take the ASVAB, which is like the military entrance exam. And I did really good on it. So I got high enough to where I could literally have picked any job I wanted. But for some reason, they offered me this job, combat engineer, 12 Bravo. I didn't realize at the time what the job entailed. It sounded cool, engineer. It has a big sign-on bonus. It was a 6-year contract. And it was total, the basic training and the AIT, which is like the job training portion of it, was a total of, I want to say, 16 weeks. And so it was in Fort Leonard Wood, Missouri the whole way through. So I was like, 16 weeks. I mean, that's only a few months. I'll be back before summer's even over. So I left in May. I signed the contract. I picked combat engineer, met a couple people, actually. One of my best friends and a guy who cornered me at my fight, Nick, he actually flew out with me. I had the same recruiter at the same recruiting office, picked the same contract, and had the same date to go to basic training. So we became instant friends. I was like, obviously, I'm going to know this guy for a while. So so I fly out of Pittsburgh to Fort Leonard Wood, Missouri. I do basic training in AIT, which was a whole experience. And then I come back. And I was in the reserves now at that point. Officially, I was a soldier in the Army. The school benefits were great. They gave me like a monthly stipend while I was in school every month to help pay with rent and things like that.
Very nice.
That was awesome. And they also gave me some student loan money. Not enough to cover the whole thing, but they gave me a big chunk, which is still awesome. I'm thankful for. And that sign-on bonus. And I get paid monthly when I go to my drill weekends. But it was a 6-year contract. So I'm in year 4, I think, out of 6 now.
Okay.
So, yeah, I just got promoted to sergeant like 2 months ago. So that was pretty awesome. So thank you. I appreciate it. Thank you. So I just got promoted to sergeant. And so that's pretty much, I haven't been anywhere too crazy. We've traveled around Fort Hunter Liggett in California, Camp Grayling, Michigan, Fort Indiantown Gap in Harrisburg, Fort Dix, New Jersey. So I've definitely been around. But for the most part, it's been pretty chill. I've met a ton of cool people. Almost every single person who was at that fight for me is at my unit in the military. And so, yeah, that's, something that, we're just, I just am thankful for them, and they're a huge support group, and we stick together for sure. We stick together. And,
that's what's up.
Because the military can be tough on a lot of people. And, it's one of those things where I see these people every month, and I've known them for 5 or 6 years now. So you get to build a relationship with them. You go through some bad times, like just this past summer in Fort Hunter Liggett, California. We were there for 20 days, slept outside, no tents, no showers. So you get to know people pretty good, when you're doing stuff like that. And combat engineers, we're a route clearance unit. So we use vehicles, and we go down roads, and we find IEDs in the Middle East. And so that was our main job. So pretty dangerous stuff. I'm fortunate enough, to where everything's been good. Haven't had any like firsthand experiences with it, but obviously the Middle East is always something to go. You can block that guy, by the way. You can block that guy. So I don't know who that is. You can block that guy. So it's been pretty good so far experience, and I have a big support group through there. And I couldn't be more thankful. It's been a great journey in the Army. So that kind of came on spontaneously. Told myself I was going to do it. Once you sign that line and get on that plane, there's no going back.
Yeah, I know that's right. And if I haven't said so, thank you for your service.
Thank you. I appreciate it. Thank you. Thank you.
Yeah. And so, how did you find yourself to arrive being an MMA fighter? What made you decide to go down that road?
That's an interesting one too. That one's kind of like the military one. That was a kind of a spontaneous decision. I'd always been a big fan of UFC my whole life. I love UFC,
Yes.
especially like the past 5 or 6 years. Since I finished wrestling in college last year, I actually tore my UCL in my elbow my senior year.
Okay.
So I had to get Tommy John surgery over last summer. And I told myself, I said, when I come back from this surgery, I'm going to keep training to get back to where I was when I wrestled in college.
Let me ask you a question. I have to ask you a question. Because we're both in the medical field, I know how it goes. What kind of patient are you?
I'm pretty compliant, but
Okay.
I definitely make my own calls. I definitely make my own calls sometimes. I took my own sutures out after the surgery. I refuse to take any of the pain medicine.
Sounds about right.
Right. But when they told me what it was and what the treatment was, I did listen. I didn't ask any questions, because I'm not an orthopedic surgeon. So, I did listen to that part, but I definitely probably didn't do the PT and everything like I should have. But I think I did a pretty good job. So.
Okay. All right.
So.
Because we tend to be horrible patients.
Yes. And I definitely am to an extent. Like another PA that saw me would probably say I'm not the best patient, but in my eyes, I think I'm pretty good for being a healthcare provider. I think I'm pretty good. But I'm probably biased. I'm probably biased. How are you? Are you a good patient when you have to go in, or what do you think?
No, I'm not.
That's fair.
I'm not. Things could always be better.
Right. Exactly.
Things can always be better.
100%. And that's kind of my mindset too. Like, the last time I went to PCP, she wasn't affiliated with where I work now, but I went to a PCP. I didn't tell her that I was a PCP, and I didn't tell her I was in PA school or whatever, just to see what would happen. And I mean, the appointment lasted 5 minutes, and I didn't really get anything from it. And I'm like, well, I know as a PCP that I don't want my patients to ever feel like this, so I'm going to make sure.
Right.
So,
Right.
It's no blame to her, but we could, like you said, we can always be better for sure.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
But yeah, I was an okay patient. But I got my surgery. Didn't do the PT as long as I should have. I think I got my surgery middle of the summer, and they told me it would be about 3 to 6 months, and I was definitely on the 3 end. I definitely wanted to get back to it. I want to say I had my surgery in like July maybe, and I was lifting weights again by September, so
Wow.
I definitely flew through it. But I was happy, and I knew I was motivated,
Okay.
I wasn't working yet at the time. I wasn't working at the time. I wasn't. So all I did was have to focus on getting this surgery, and rehabbing from it. So that it really helped me. And so yeah, that's what I did. And so I got to where I needed to be, and I told myself, I love UFC. I can't wrestle anymore. There is no you can't go to like a wrestling club. You can't do anything like that. But what you can do is jiu-jitsu and Muay Thai. My buddy Nick, who I talked about earlier, started going to Steel City Martial Arts out here in like Castle Shannon, Bethel Park area, which is like 20 minutes from where I live. And he said, man, I like it here. Everyone's really cool. He was like, we've always talked about doing this. You should start coming. So as soon as my arm was good enough and I got clearance to go, I started going. I was super out of shape, super stiff. But when I first started back, but I ended up getting my groove back. I want to say like 2 or 3 months in, I really started feeling myself. And that was probably like December. And I just had this itch. My friends, we would watch UFC together, and I'd be like, dude, I could beat that guy. And they'd be like, no, you can't. I'm like, all right, well, I'll show you I can. I started going to my gym, and I talked to a couple of my buddies at the gym. I said, listen, I know I've only been training 3 months, but I got a lot of wrestling experience, and I work hard, and I'm dedicated. What do you think? And they were like, go for it. So yeah, I started reaching out to promoters, got in like a Facebook group. And there were some in there. Originally, I had 2 fights scheduled. I had one scheduled in Akron, Ohio, and then I had one in Albany, New York. Both of my opponents pulled out like 2 weeks before the fight. I was supposed to fight in January twice. January 31st. So the one was January 31st. That guy pulled out, and I found another opponent with a different federation also for January 31st, and then he pulled out. So I was like in week 6 of my fight camp, and I didn't have an opponent. It was approaching the end of January, and I saw Nick Jaws, my boy, on the Facebook group saying we got a new promotion up and coming. We're looking for fighters. Reach out. I sent him a message. He was like, we actually have a 265 who is looking for an opponent right now. I said, I don't care what his name is, who he is, I'm fighting him. So I'm looking for a fight. And so, yeah, that was it. That was it.
Shout out to Jaws.
100%.
He was in the room. He was in here a couple minutes ago.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah. I'll have to shout him back out. There they are. He's back in. But yeah, shout out to Jaws. Shout out to everyone at Only Fights. That was that.
So that night was so electric and crazy. And I will say this. Your support, your fans, the people that came with you, they basically took up almost half the room. And they brought great energy.
Yes, 100%. I was so hyped.
What's up, Jay?
Oh, what's going on, Jay? What's going on? That's awesome. So yeah, it was crazy energy. I mean, for my debut and me living 6 hours from there, I mean, those people most of them drove 5 or 6 hours just like I did, 1 day trip. And to come watch me and support. I sold over 20 tickets. I mean, I had a ton of people there, which was crazy. My family, my girlfriend, my, everything. And so, yeah, it was crazy. All my friends, another one just joined the chat. He was there. So yeah, it was just crazy the support I had. I could hear him before I even walked out to the ring. I could hear him. It was awesome. It was awesome.
So I wanted to talk to you about your showmanship. It was a great night. Great fights. They were happening pretty quick. They were going through them pretty quick. But you stood out to me because your showmanship was by far probably the best in the house, because you approached it almost like a pro wrestler. You get all the flair and you had it all going on. And I was like, who's this guy?
Yeah. yes. And you know what? That's so funny. And I appreciate it so much because that was my goal. I said, listen, I get this big stage, this big opportunity. I'm a debut guy. I got to go out there and put on a show, make a name for myself. I said, people can say what they want. Oh, it's corny. Oh, whatever. I didn't care. I was like, this is what I'm doing. And, yeah, that's what I did. And I had people coming up to me after the fight saying, listen, you got to stick with that shtick, whatever they call it. They're like, that was awesome. I said, all right, cool. So even whether you like it or you hate it, you watch it and you remember it, so.
Yeah, definitely. And so they call you Crash Out. I know you said that it was an inside joke. Tell me, please, where did the name come from?
Yes. So, I'm a very relaxed, chill person. But I will say my buddies have like a name for me because I'm one of those people where I'm really calm. But if you get me to that point, where I'll get mad, I don't hit people. I don't cuss. I'm just like, and I tell people, I started saying this. I don't know why I started saying it, but I'll look at them and I'll go, listen, I'm about to crash out. If you keep talking right now, or if you keep pushing me, I'm about to crash out. I'm giving you a fair warning. I'm about to crash out. Mainly like my military buddies, we would say that, as a joke if they weren't listening or whatever, or if something bad happened. Or I'm at work, a rough day, computer's not working, I'm about to crash out. In med school, studying all the time, or I do bad on a test, like my buddy's like, oh, how'd it go for you? I'm like, don't even ask, bro. I'm about to crash out. Things like that. It became like my saying, so I don't really actually ever crash out that much, maybe a little bit, depending on who you ask and what they think crashing out is. But that's kind of where it came from, just this nickname. I kind of started saying it myself, and people would always just start saying, oh, here he comes. He's about to crash out, oh, here he comes. So it just kind of stuck.
Nice. So that's a pretty cool name.
Thank you. It goes perfectly with my last name too, starting with a C. So I was like, I can't pass this up, So
right. Then talk to me about your experience that night. What was going on in your head?
So honestly,
before you came out and being backstage.
Yeah, 100%. I mean, the whole experience was great. We drove up Friday for weigh-ins. My buddy Nick came with me. The one who was in my corner, he drove up with me. We weighed in. Weigh-ins went smooth. Everything was good. And then we got, a tour of everything. I saw the event area. I was like, this is huge. This is going to be awesome. And so we got our hotel rooms, which was super convenient. It was at the venue. That night after weigh-ins, went and had some Chick-fil-A, but I kept it kind of light, healthy, grilled stuff, And then, came back, rehydrated, and just relaxed. We went and just keep your mind off, and just kind of relax that night. Saturday, we had all day Saturday. So my mindset was just control what I can control and just stay relaxed and stay focused. It was just another day for me. I train 4 days a week. And every time I train on those days whether it's sparring, pad day, jiu-jitsu, doesn't matter. I was just acting like I was walking into another practice, stay calm, stay fluid. So I had a couple buddies there. I want to say a bunch of my buddies were there at that point. So we went and got breakfast together. We all went to the King of Prussia Mall because I had never been there before. That was pretty cool. That big mall, the largest mall, whatever you call it. So we went there. I want to say we got back from there around like 2 or 3 o'clock, and my headspace at that point was good. We were laughing and joking while doing stuff. I kind of liked having those people around me to keep me out of that mindset from getting in my own head, just having them talk to me, distract me, because I'm not a nervous person, but I can definitely manifest things. You know what I mean?
Right.
Oh, what if this, what if that, there's what if questions. I've gotten better at it, but even when I wrestled, I was the same way, psych yourself out. You're here for a reason. You're here because you have the ability to do it. So why are you questioning yourself and your ability to do it? That's what I do. So we showed up, got checked in. We were backstage. They had it split off red corner, blue corner. The other fighters in the blue corner on that side with me. I started with a traditional Muay Thai stretch routine that one of my coaches walked me through. Did some pad work, a little bit of grappling, and just stayed loose. I didn't warm up too much, just a little bit of a sweat, got a little bit loose because honestly, I didn't feel like I needed it. My adrenaline was pumping so much that I don't need this crazy workout. Like, I'm going to go out there and be ready. And the minute I heard them call my name to walk back into the tunnel, from that point on, it was a different mindset. I wasn't warming up anymore. I wasn't, it was, this is time to go. You're about to get punched in the face and you better punch him back in the face, So,
right.
And for me, it being my first time, I never have truly, obviously in sparring and, little scuffles here and there, I've gotten hit, but I've never been intentionally hit as hard as possible in the face before. So for me, that was a mental barrier. Like, you're going to take at least one shot in this fight, but you got to push through it and you got to hit him back. So that was the biggest hurdle I had to get through, was just getting ready to possibly get punched, But once I got in there and the adrenaline was so much, you couldn't even feel anything. So I ate the first punch and I was like, okay, this is wraps. I'll be all right.
For a guy your size, you're pretty nimble. Like, you move around pretty quick.
Thank you. I appreciate that. And I always credited that to my wrestling when I was younger. When I was in high school, I actually did lock in on my diet and my cardio. I actually was the same, like, height and everything I am now, but I wrestled 182. So I was really skinny. Like, I never had abs in my life, but that was the closest I've ever been. So we did a ton of flexibility, and even at Muay Thai, we do a ton of traditional Muay Thai stretching and flexibility. And I know I'm not very tall, but I am decently strong, but I know my speed is a huge advantage at my weight class. So I try and use that. And my grappling. And with good grappling comes speed and transitions. And so, thank you. I appreciate that. And that's been, I'm glad that stood out because I'm trying to keep that a part of my game for sure.
Nice. I would have never suspected that was your first time being in the ring.
Thank you.
Yeah.
First time with a cage. We don't even have a cage at where I train at. So that was my first time even picking someone up against the cage and everything. So I'm definitely planning on leveling up here. I want to stay at the gym I'm at, but I think I'm going to have to start going somewhere else just a couple of days a week for some different looks and clinch game and things like that.
Yeah. The after. I was trying to get to you, but you had so many people around you. But what I noticed was how the children flocked to you. The kids were like loving you. What do you attribute that to?
Honestly, I don't know. I really don't know. And funny you say that because my whole life, like when I was little and I'd see babies, they'd see me, I'm this big guy, they'd start crying. But they get older, like, even when I did my pediatrics rotation in med school,
Mm-hmm.
and just from being around my little brother and his friends, I don't know if I just, have like a reassuring tone or I just seem open-minded, I think that's part of it too, is the energy that you bring.
True.
Younger people really feed off of positive energy, kind of like you always preach,
Mm-hmm.
they really do. And I feel like by just the way I walked out, like you said, kind of putting on that show vibe, that WWE vibe that appeals
Mm-hmm.
to the younger population, that
Yep.
was probably part of it. And